Bum, bum,
Bum,
ba-da-dum,
ba-da-da,
bum,
bum,
bum.
bum.
Bring.
Bring.
Yeah,
No lasers this morning,
nope.
unfortunately, as we start the
That's
Blue
for
Review
winners.
presented by LAX. Lasers are for winners. Dodgers, tough loss last night, 6-5 in 10 innings to the Philadelphia Phillies. So they lose half a game on the idle Padres. They lose a full game on the two-seeded Phillies in that one. We'll get into that one. Tough loss, but they a chance to come back and try it again today at Chavez Ravine against the Phillies. Another 7:10 start time. But first, Greg, you were there last night, and how are we feeling this morning?
You know, I am not upset. The Phillies are a very good team, and the fact of the matter was that every time they got down, they came back. Except for in that final in the 10th, and even that could have been avoided if Blake trying to just look at the runners instead of letting them both just steal second and third with no problem. That could have maybe changed that a little bit. Honestly, I'm not upset at all. I think that I love the fact that they kept showing fight and kept getting big hits. First Mookie and then Pajes against Johan Duran. That's a pretty big one. So. Look, they lost. It sucks. They're basically in the wild card for sure now. You need a miracle, but it was a great game, and it was a playoff type game. I'm not upset. I'm not mad.
That's all wasn't good. I just meant you look like you really could take a nap right now.
Oh yeah, I could really use some sleep. Not getting home till 11 o'clock, and then being back up at 5. And you don't fall asleep right away. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to wait. You don't fall asleep till 11:30, 12. It just didn't get a lot of sleep, which is fine. I'm here. I'm here.
You're here.
You're here.
Look, sometimes your best ability is your availability, and here you are with this morning. So we'll get into.
There's only like 4 shots of espresso in this.
That's
so don't
it.
Worry.
That's it. Well, look, man, it's 6:33. There's still plenty of time for more. We'll get into more of what happened last night at Chavez Ravine, but first, want to give a shout out to LAX. They are transforming the travel experience, saving guests time. For more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax. Parker, this was the first Dodger loss in a while that I came away like not feeling really upset, disappointed for sure. Like I always want to see them win, but a lot of times recently they lose, and I'm upset. I'm frustrated. You can easily pinpoint things that could have been better. Last night they played well. They just lost to a really good team. That was kind of my takeaway.
Yeah, Phils have been hot, and I mean, you have the one Bonda blunder. That's a mouthful
I
at
like
6:34 in the morning. But outside of that, you saw Sheehan put up another good performance, continuing the conversation of who's going to be that guy in terms of honestly long bulk eating innings over there in the playoffs. So there's a lot of conversations to be had after last night, and I think they're continuing to trend in a positive direction despite the loss. Everything felt good, and I mean, I'm also glad that Greg and Mason and everybody got to experience the game, because when you get to see extras, even when they lose, I think as a baseball fan, it's just fun to see. You see those stars performing and everything. Mookie, Bryce, Schwarber.
Free baseball.
This was the first time I felt good about them in extras too, just because before, like, they couldn't move runners over. They couldn't drive guys in. And yeah, I know they didn't get the run in last night, but Greg, I went into it feeling like, all right, the way they're approaching at bats, the way they're swinging right now, like I like their and look, Ben Rortvedt didn't get the bunt down. He did his job though in the 10th. I mean, he got Mookie to third base. They just couldn't get him in. So, it's rare that I think we smiled after losses, but this is one that I was like, okay, there's a lot of positives to take away from this.
Yeah, there was a lot of positive, and you're right. They did everything they had to do. Ben Rortvedt at least got the runner over. They got Alex Call even got a walk. They got the bases loaded. Miguel Rojas just popped up on the first pitch, which was frustrating, but again, it was better than a double play because you got to Max Muncy. I think that was like I was sitting there with Mason and Travis, and we're going, just if you're not going to get a hit, strike out. Like you just don't hit into the double play, and it's the same thing as a strikeout in that sense. You popped up, you strike out, same thing, same result. But they got to Muncy, and Muncy had a chance, and that's all you could really ask for in that point. And just it didn't work out, but I love that they got a hit. They got Andy Pajes hit a home run off of Johan Duran. Like that's not something that he gives up very often.
He's only given up one home run all year before that.
That was to Shohei, by the way, in Philly.
Right.
No,
So
sorry,
yeah,
not in
no,
Philly. He would when he was in
in
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
Yeah, in
in
Minnesota.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, no, a lot of good. Uh, Parker mentioned the Bonda blunder at the beginning. That was sort of weird in the sense that the Dodgers made the switch. They decided to use Bonda as an opener and then follow him up with Sheehan. Uh, the obvious logic being they wanted a left-hander to try and neutralize Schwarber and Harper in the first inning, except Schwarber hit a home run and Harper walked. So,
Right.
so that ended up not really being a thing last night. So I guess, Parker, kudos to Dave for trying something different. My 2 cents, for what it's worth, is next time just let him at Sheehan start. I mean, Sheehan could have done that just as easily as Bond done last night, and maybe would have fared better considering how he handled those two guys, in the other innings he faced them.
Yeah, that's the thing. The pitchers and starting pitchers, that is, have been absolutely on a tear, this last month. So reward them, put them against the best hitters, and see what they got, and then keep your back end of the bullpen to the back end and perform like a more traditional. Because when you look at it, when you get to the playoffs, realistically, because of who they have and who's been performing these last month as a starting pitcher, you're not really going to see the bullpen-esque game that we've been seeing the last couple of years from the Dodgers. And we've been saying this the last few episodes of the Blue Review. We believe that we're going to get, maybe there's a little piggyback style. I do like Greg's, take on that, but we're going to see guys go into 6, potentially 7. I had a gap there.
You got to put the gap. You just can't.
Gap.
You can't help yourself.
But I think, to that point, it's let the guys cook. Sheehan has been dominating, and so have every other starting pitcher. Reward them with going against the best hitters.
I mean, after I'll say real quick, after the Schwarber home run in the first, the Phillies didn't get a hit for a while. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a good long while before they got another hit that game.
No, they didn't get a hit until the bullpen came in, and Jack Dreyer decided that he wasn't going to be any good, and then everybody else wasn't going to be good as well. And so, but look, it was to go to that whole Anthony Bonda thing at the beginning. I understand what the logic was behind it. That don't let Emmett Sheehan see those two guys 3 times. Okay, understood. However, it obviously didn't work. You got too cute, and I think all of yesterday was kind of getting too cute. Even putting in Call Rojas ahead of Muncy and Pages. Yeah. It was just getting too cute. Now, did it work out because Pages hit a home run later on? Yes. Did it work out that Muncy hit a home run as well besides his 3 strikeouts? Like, yeah, that kind of worked, and they were leading the game for the most part, but why get cute? There's no reason to do these things. Just put your lineup out as you put them out there and let the guys do what they're going to do. That was the only thing of it. That just feels like somebody in the analytics department, like, haha, I think I figured it out. This is how we're going to beat the Phillies. We're going to switch up from 5 and 6, and we're going to put Sheehan in the beginning. Just let the guys do what we're going to do. Like, it's just ridiculous. I don't understand why they do those things. It had a chance to win. The bullpen blew it. I mean, that's basically it comes down to. Once again, the bullpen blew it, and it wasn't Tanner Scott. So
it was not. And look, you know what, Parker, your faith was rewarded because Scott went out there and had a clean inning in the 9th.
He just had to be down 1.
That's it. Apparently, either pitching with a huge lead or pitching from behind, and Tanner Scott is absolutely nails. To your point, though, Greg, about the bullpen last night, I mean, obviously, Bonda gave up the home run to Schwarber. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I know it wasn't that wasn't his appearance out of the bullpen, but he is a bullpen guy, so he gives up the home run to Schwarber. And then you have the lefty Vesia, who's supposed to come in and try to neutralize Bryce Harper, and gives up an absolute moonshot, which
it was a rocket.
I had a bad feeling. The very pitch before, Vesia threw just a bad curveball that hung. It was up high, and I think Harper took it, but it came out of his hand badly, and I'm like, that's a bad omen. Sign. That's a bad sign. And then he went up. He went back upstairs again, and I'm not really sure how Harper hit that ball because it was probably about at his shoulders, but he absolutely launched. So I don't know, just a weird thing. You mentioned Trinan having his issues in the 10th inning. Just not a great night for the bullpen, but also against a really good team. So that's sort of the hard part. Do I see Beto hanging in here? There he is.
Hey, what's
Shout
up,
out to Beto
Beto?
Duran. What's going on, man? Good to see you
Look,
this morning.
he's got his own backdrop and
I know, right?
everything.
He's got a little step
you
and
guys
repeat
don't?
back there. Look at that.
You
The
guys
Carson hat, I love it.
Good morning, guys. Big fan
Morning.
of the Blue Review. Glad to be here. Yes, I do have my own backdrop. That sound all right, Parker?
You sound great. Yeah.
All right, cool. Because I even went and got a microphone.
Ooh, look
I'm
at
the
you.
guru.
Wow.
Look at you.
Wow.
So your feelings on last night. I mean, we're all disappointed, but hard to be really upset after losing to a good team like the
All
Phillies.
right, so the Phillies are a really good team. So I went yesterday. I had a credential, so I was went there, and I'm not jumping on the Blue Review just to jump on the Blue Review. I went and actually was digging around back to the reporter roots. And I talked with Greg a lot during the season. I still know people around Major League Baseball, former players, scouts, and stuff like that. But there's something to be said about when you have boots on the ground, right? And yesterday, listening to Andrew Friedman talk to members of the media, listening to Dave Roberts talk about it, and I said this when I jumped on with Travis yesterday and DeMarco, that this is a team that knows what they are and they know what they're going to be, and they're not going to be a team that's going to get the first round bye. As evidence, they lose to the Phillies. They needed a sweep. And Emma Sheehan is going to be a guy that's going to be piggybacking, a guy who's going to be coming out of the bullpen. That's part of the reason why they went that yesterday, Greg. And I know you did a great voice of like, oh, we figured something out, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're right. They did get too cute, but they also are doing what Emma Sheehan's going to do in the playoffs. Because you've been talking about this, Greg, about the piggyback role. So that's where Bonda is going to be a guy who is going to be used primarily for left-handed hitters. And if they face the Phillies, well, that's going to be his job. So it's more about getting guys into positions right now that they're going to see in the playoffs. But a guy like Emma Sheehan, he's not going to be a starter. So you got to get him up and ready to go in game situations. I'm not trying to say they're doing a simulation game with him, but that's kind of the role which you want to have him get used to that. But did they get a little too cute? Yes. Do the Dodgers tend to do that? Yes. Did they frustrate you? Yes.
Yeah.
But the vibe around the team yesterday, it's not like it's a team that's in disarray, like how we talk about it, doom and gloom. It's not. It's more of we know where we are. We're frustrating your fans. We're frustrating and we could either be really, really good or we could be really, really bad. But I think the really bad days are behind them. They're very, very professional, as we know that.
Yeah, so that's what we were talking about before too. Is that loss isn't what we're not sitting here like lamenting the loss yesterday. It was awful, and really the two cute part to it that I was kind of talking about was more so the call Rojas in the 5-6 spot. That was kind of the whole, and I figured it out. That was what the whole thing was for me, more so than the Sheehan portion of it. But what else did you find out while you were out there? Did they talk about that portion of it, about the putting Call and Rojas in the middle of the lineup? While it did kind of work, so give them that.
It's more. A lot of the questions were about how the rotation is going to be in the playoffs. Like Shohei is going to be your starter. If Shohei were to come out of the bullpen, it would have to be like they did in the WBC, the final out for the championship. Shohei, as a closer, is going to be Game 7 of the World Series. Yeah, Shohei is going to start, and you're going to see what happens with him. He's going to piggyback with somebody else. And Shohei, I found out yesterday, his warm-up routine, the days he pitches, is a minimum of 30 minutes. He's very meticulous about everything he do. We've heard that over the years. But I was talking with Jose Mota yesterday. He said one thing that you could tell with Shohei pitches on the day he's actually pitching, the amount of media that shows up for the Japanese media is big. But they're standing on the left field line watching everything he does, and it's more than half an hour. So if it takes him that long to get ready to pitch, how is he going to be able to get loose for inning of relief? And if they do that, it has to be a day where it's so planned out where he knows that today you're going to close. That way he can get into the right mindset, because one of the guys was telling me that as soon as Shohei gets out and back into the dugout, he doesn't hang out in the dugout. You'll never see him in the dugout talking with guys. He goes straight to the tunnel, and right next to the tunnel is that hitting cage that they have, and he is constantly hitting over and over and over. So if you were going to have him be a reliever, he'd have to change that attitude mindset of where he's going to be. But Shohei's going to be a starter for you. And as I told Greg yesterday, somebody told me, like, there's no restrictions on what amount of pitches that he can throw, the type of pitches that he can throw. They're letting him go, but it'll be about 5, 6 innings where Shohei's going to be at. And that's where you kind of want to have him. Are they going to let him go 9? No, because they invested $1 billion in him. Right. You're going to have him go 5 or something like that.
Well, I think obviously the other big part of Shohei coming out of the bullpen is, if an inning offensively goes long, you're going to need him to come back and hit again because you're not going to take him out of the lineup. So, you can't have him go down to the bullpen, take some warm-up tosses, and all of a sudden, it's not like spring training where you guys got guys with duffel bags like running up and down the foul lines or anything like that. So that's another part of the issue. I did want to get back to what you were saying though earlier about kind of how this team is preparing for the postseason, because it sort of vibes with something I heard Oral Hershiser say on a broadcast maybe a week or so ago. And, I don't think Oral phrased it quite the way he wanted to, but basically he was saying that right now for a lot of these guys, and he was referring to the bullpen guys like Kopech and Trinan and Tanner Scott, that they're sort of using this as spring training in a way. Not that they're not trying to win, but that this is their opportunity to go out and work on stuff. And it sounds like, Beto, from the way you're describing it, that this is the same thing for Dave Roberts in the front office too. They're tinkering with lineups. They're tinkering with pitching matchups. It just seems like they're trying to obviously they know that the playoffs are there. They'd like to win the division, but it just seems like, okay, the whole goal of this team is just getting ready for October now.
Once you realize that you're not going to get that first round bye, then you have to really identify who's going to be on your roster, right? Last year, they had the luxury of having a week off of trying to figure out what they're going to do and who's going to be in what spot. Right now, you have to make sure next weekend in Seattle that you're lining up the right way, because if you're going to have a pitcher go on a Saturday, is that really going to burn you coming Wednesday, Thursday? That's what you have to have. Also, I get what you're saying about what Oral talked about, the relievers. The relievers, it might be, like you said, they're spring training. They're trying to figure out how to save bullets because this bullpen was taxed in May and June. They threw a lot of innings, and guys are grinding. And when I was talking to some of the members of the media yesterday, guys that are there every single day, it's September. You're tired. You kind of just want to get to the playoffs, because in the playoffs you have that new energy, right? You have that new fountain of youth, to say a bad cliche, right? Where all of a sudden these games matter because you know that you're going to get fired up for the Phillies, but the next week against Seattle is like, oh, come on, let's just get to it, right? And if you have to figure out which reliever that you can keep down, say it's a Banda where you give him a day, a Vesia where you give him a day, because those guys are going to be big for you, but it's also for the front office and the quants to try to figure out, are we really going to keep this guy? Are we going to keep that guy? That's what you have to go through right now. But it's not as a team that is going to, another bad cliche, flip the switch. It's not that. It's they just know who they are. This is a team that can get blown out or win the World Series. And it's right, Bergman. You've talked about this. There is no middle ground with this team, and they are what they are.
Yeah, no, they are, and then it really comes down. It's going to come completely down to the bullpen to me. And as much as I love this pitching staff, as much as I love this 1 through 9 and how they're hitting right now, and Mookie's back, everybody else is starting to hit like they're supposed to hit. It comes down to the bullpen because they had a lead yesterday. Sheehan was just floating through where he was just mowing guys down, gives up the double in the 7th, and they pulled him right away. And eventually you immediately give up a run. Dreyer gives up runs. So it comes down to the bullpen for me. And like you're talking about, but is there a world, Beto, that you can see all three of Yates, Kopech, and Scott even not on this roster for the wild card series?
Yeah.
Including Scott.
When you're pitching in games that are blowouts, they've kind of told you where you're standing right now. Kirby Yates, hey, great career, just did not work out with the Dodgers. The Dodgers front office, you know this, Marcus, you cannot have emotion, right? In your fantasy show, forget the emotion. Right. What are you giving me this week? There's a reason guys are on the waiver wire, right? There's a reason guys are not going to be on that spot. And it's going to do a lot of who the matchups are going to be. And if you look at the Phillies, I think you guys were talking about how many left-handed hitters they have. Well, that's going to benefit the Dodgers lefty pitchers. But just because you're a guy who's done it in the past, who cares? What did you do this week? And that's how they're going to go. Who's the guy that throws 100? Henriquez, is that his name?
Henriquez, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, he may not be consistent, but 102 coming out of the bullpen is still 102 coming out of the bullpen. Like, that's a guy that you can use for one batter to neutralize something. This is where the Dodgers are at. Mookie Betts looks really, really good right now.
Sure does.
One of the clubbies yesterday told me it's because Mookie's finally eating, that Mookie is finally healthy. Because when you lose that much weight, when you didn't have weight to lose in get-go, that's going to affect you. But that Mookie's in a different zone. And it was yesterday. Greg, I'll send you the video of Mookie taking BP yesterday. And he was just in a different kind of zone, right? I went to early in the season, and Mookie was just kind of going through it because he didn't have the energy. Mookie, Freddie, Muncy, the dudes for the Dodgers are walking around with their chest out, shoulders back. That's how they're doing it. And then you see the bullpen guys come in. It's like, it's what it is right now. Unfortunate, but hey, it makes for good talking points.
It does. And like to Greg's point, they're going to need those bullpen guys, and we'll see what order they are, like who's there, what order they're in, and how they perform. More importantly, down the stretch and into October. Because I said this last week. I feel like the playoff run is sort of underway. I know they're pretty much in the postseason. It's about whether or not they can win the division, what seed they get. But for all intents and purposes, this is the start of the playoffs for the Dodgers, and so it's important to kind of get everybody ready to go.
There's one more, Marcus. I was talking to some people that I know from Philly yesterday. Parker, I sent you that video of Mookie right now. I was like, dude, what's up with the Dodgers? Like, bro, what about us? Like, well, you guys are fine. I'm like, no, we may have won a bunch of games, but we weren't winning games, dominating kind of games where like they played Kansas City. They played teams that you were supposed to take care of. So the Phillies weren't exactly feeling themselves. And they even told me like, hey, the Dodgers starters are good, really, really good. And I was kind of telling them how like the reaction is around LA, sports talk radio, stuff like that. You guys are just spoiled, man.
Yeah, I think we definitely are. Again, I think it's the difference between us watching and living and dying with every single pitch for this team every night versus kind of being on the outside looking in and seeing the big picture. I think for us, especially here on this show, we lose the big picture sometimes.
I also talked to one of the scouts just about different things. He said the one you have to worry about is San Diego because they don't look like they're turning anything around. You want to have your issues or you want to have the Padre issues?
Yeah, the Padres right now are struggling. The Mets right now are free falling. I saw the bracket last night. If the playoffs started today, it would be Dodgers and Mets in the first round. And
fine.
If you're the Dodgers, you kind of welcome that. The Mets are absolutely free falling at the moment. So, we'll see how that goes. Just about time to wrap this one up. I want to say before we get out of here, R.I.P. to Robert Redford, a.k.a. Roy Hobbs. So many different things. Robert Redford passed away this morning, 89 years old. So if you guys are so inclined, go back and watch an old film, whether it's The Natural, whether it's Sneakers, 3 Days of the Condor, what have you. Sundance.
Oh, Sneakers was a great movie.
Yeah, but just a fond farewell and a rest in peace to Robert Redford, who gave us so many great memories throughout all the years. So,
did you ever see The Last Castle? The Last Castle was
never saw The Last Castle.
Oh, really, really good. Go watch that if you want to.
All right, let's go check that out. This is Mookie.
Look at this guy. What?
This guy's a stud.
Marcus Lynn Betts. Absolutely
Don't mind this.
All right, time to head on out of here. Thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. A lot of you have come with us to 6:30 in the morning. We are absolutely grateful for that. So thank you for that. Thanks to LAX as well for all of their partnership with this whole thing. Stick around for the Sedano and Cap morning extravaganza with a cast of thousands coming up here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel tonight. It is Shohei Ohtani going against Christopher Sanchez. Should be a good one out at Dodger Stadium. Back with you tomorrow, 6:30, 6:55 a.m. to talk about it here on the Blue Review. For Parker Bell, for Beto Duran, for Greg Bergman, I am Marcus Grant. We will see you mañana. Thanks, everybody.
See ya.